It was a showdown in the House of Commons as the Conservatives' non-confidence motion was shot down by MPs in Ottawa.
But it was a comment made by the Prime Minister before the vote that's making headlines. We're going to bring in our Glenn McGregor in Ottawa now. Glenn, let's talk about these fireworks in the House.
Yeah, Mel, it all started when Pierre Poilievre, during question period, was asking questions to the Prime Minister about the government's decision to spend $9 million to purchase a new residence in New York City for the Consul General to New York, that is Tom Clark. And one of the things that Mr. Poilievre listed when he was asking that question were what sounded like fairly luxurious amenities that were added to that apartment, including a copper handcrafted bathtub, whatever that is. And there was, as Trudeau got up to answer the question, someone from the Conservative side of the House of Commons heckled him and said something about a bathtub. Trudeau interpreted that as the suggestion being that he was in the same bathtub as Tom Clark, and he denounced that comment as homophobic. He was immediately asked to retract that language by the Speaker of the House of Commons. This is what happened in that exchange.
Mr. Speaker, I withdraw the comment about defecating. I certainly, using the word crap, I shouldn't use that. I know crap is unparliamentary, but I will also, Mr. Speaker, when someone says something that is clearly homophobic, not them, I'm not accusing them of homophobia, I'm saying they made a homophobic.
Sort of a bizarre exchange there as the Prime Minister looked like he was kind of floundering around trying to find a polite way to say crap. I'm not sure why he landed on the word he chose to, but he did kind of partially retract what he had said. Whether that's going to be good enough for the Speaker of the House, Greg Fergus, we'll see today. And also the NDP has now raised some points of order in the House of Commons about this, about the original heckle from a Conservative MP saying that it was homophobic, and they want the Speaker to look into it and possibly sanction any MPs who said anything that was unparliamentary. It's all very silly, and you can imagine people tuning in to watch the House of Commons live feed and see what their elected officials are up to. The answer is yesterday, not very much in question period. Very silly exchange. But this is kind of indicative of the situation we find ourselves here in Ottawa. We have a government that is now entering into its 9th year, and obviously these kinds of things crop up. But in terms of the thing that got us to this point was the Conservative motion. Yes, as you mentioned, it failed, and it will likely fail again when the Conservatives bring another motion for the vote next week, another confidence motion. Looks like the NDP and the Bloc will again support them. So really, guys, we're kind of into silly season here in the House of Commons, and no sign of it ending in the near future.
Yeah, goodness, Glenn. Okay, French President Emmanuel Macron is meeting with Canadian officials again today. What's on the agenda?
Yeah, this is a pretty warm relationship between Justin Trudeau and Emmanuel Macron. They've known each other for a long time. They're both elected kind of around the same time, Trudeau in 2015, Macron in 2017. And they are now, together, the two longest-serving leaders as part of the Group of 7 countries and have a lot of bit of clout there. They're on the same page politically on a lot of issues. They're both kind of left or center-left, probably Macron a little more center, relative to the state of French politics, and they are generally and broadly in agreement on sort of international affairs. Both Canada and France signing on to this letter today, along with other G7 countries and the European Union and some countries in the Middle East, to call for an immediate ceasefire between Israel and Lebanon. Of course, 2 Canadians, we learned yesterday, had been killed in the Israeli response to the Hezbollah rockets sent from the south of Lebanon into Israeli territory. So they're on the same page on that. Now, today, Macron and Trudeau both heading to Montreal for some events there. Macron will meet with Quebec's Premier, François Legault, and then there'll be a state dinner tonight, and they will all speak at that. Of course, we're curious to watch that to see if Macron, kind of what he says about Quebec and the rise of, sometimes separatist elements in Quebec and the Parti Québécois sort of political resurgence. Of course, Charles de Gaulle, former French leader, made history in the 1960s when he came to Canada and said words about Vive the Quebec Libre. It was kind of controversial. It was seen as sort of a tacit endorsement by France of Quebec's sovereignist movement. I don't think you'll see Macron make the same kind of mistake. He understands how sensitive that relationship is, even though France and Quebec have their own sort of special diplomatic relationship, but not a lot of controversy. And then, of course, Justin Trudeau will be heading next month to France. We'll meet with Macron again there when they attend the Francophonie Summit of French-speaking nations that Macron is hosting in Paris.
All right, a lot going on. Glenn McGregor, as always, appreciate you taking the time with us. Thank you.
Thanks.